Welcome to a Two Dudes and a Beer podcast, episode 2 of season 2. What a good first week of college football we had. Let's get right into the review games that we had last week. We had some really good games, just not in your favor.
Yeah, so I'll start. As I mentioned last week, I went to engineering school at LSU, so obviously I'm an LSU fan. Pardon my language, but we got fucking embarrassed. We lost 45-24. Jordan Travis put 342 yards on the board. The penalties were outrageous. It was just an ugly, ugly game for LSU, and the longer it went on, the worse and worse it got. So Normally, I'd be wearing an LSU shirt today on the podcast, but that's not happening.
Definitely not today.
Yeah, so I'll leave it at that because if I continue, my language is going to get worse.
We're going to have to continue because I want to talk about Florida State.
Go for it.
So, Florida State was already good. Everyone knew that. That's why I picked them myself. But I did not know Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson was going to be the best wide receiver duo in the country.
Yeah, they freaking slayed. It was
16 receptions for 126 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, the Florida State offense is going to be very good this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm scared of. Is LSU that bad, or is Florida State that good?
I legitimately think it's Florida State's going to be that good.
Because to put 45 on LSU's defense
is always, no matter how non-experienced LSU is, that's still impressive.
Yeah, no, that should not ever happen.
The main thing about LSU this year, they have a lot of question marks on the defense.
That is very true.
I know they have Harold Perkins. He was nowhere to be seen. I think he had 5 tackles, but he was very quiet.
Then, 0 sacks, if I recall correctly.
I don't think anyone had a sack.
No.
Maybe one.
I don't think
But
so.
the best defense player was Omar Spates, the Oregon State transfer. He was the only defensive player that looked like he actually cared.
Right. And that was my issue, especially towards the end of the game after they started losing. It looked like LSU had a bit of a lack of effort.
I mean, we know
both from the coaching staff and from the players.
You don't want Brian Kelly. We already knew this one.
Yeah. And
then after we turned it off, they scored one more time to make it 24 for them, but they were down 45-17 at one point. It was not pretty at all. We'll just move on from that. This for your sake. Now, it's a possible game of the season, but it was definitely the best game of the week. Colorado took down TCU in Fort Worth, 45-42. Talk about Shadir.
Yeah, actually, he's going to be my player of the week later on in the game, or my statistic of the week. But he went 38 completions, 510 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he just freaking slayed it. I thought that the receivers played really well. I thought that basically Colorado just dominated that game. Honestly, TCU is fortunate that it wasn't worse. What was it, 2 fumbles and 2 block kicks for Colorado?
No, that was for LSU. No, that was for Clemson.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking Colorado had some blocks.
Colorado did get Chandler Morris to throw 2 interceptions, though. Which
2 picks.
Which as I said, we had questions about Chandler Morris in the first place, but I think he played completely fine because I knew that Colorado team would have been better. And I was kind of surprised that TCU got dominated in the air as much as they did because they have so many pieces on the outside. They got outdone 510 to 279 in the air, which I know Chandler Morris ain't no Max Duggan because Max Duggan is a different animal.
Oh, for sure.
Manny Bailey is going to be good for them this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying TCU played terribly, but...
Oh, no, this Colorado was just better on the day.
Yeah, better on the day.
And they deserved the win. It's plain and simple. Congrats to the Prom Tom on his first win as a Power 5 coach.
Absolutely.
Then we'll move to Utah and Florida, the Thursday night game, I believe it was. Utah ran the double QB system with Nate Johnson and Barasson Barnes. Both of them did their job completely great. Florida still has a lot of questions, even though Graham had 31 completions for 333 yards and a touchdown. But he also had a fumble, I believe, and an interception. So there's a lot of questions there. Florida. Also, those 13 rushing yards do not look good versus Utah.
No, not at all. I mean, that's the ass whipping right there. Is 105 rushing yards for Utah versus 13 for Florida. And also, I'm not a huge believer in the dual quarterback system. I'm hoping that they can kind of get settled down in their locker room and pick their guy and go with it.
No, that's just because Cameron Rosen was hurt, the starter.
That is also
That's the only reason why they had a double system there.
Yeah, that is very true. We're talking second string and third string.
But for the game, it exposed Florida hard.
Oh yeah, no, Florida looked like shit.
Especially
there's no other way to put it.
Especially that 70-yard bomb to Money Parks from Barnes, or the first play of the game. Which, man, if Bryson Barnes your backup, Jesus Lord, he had a great game.
Yeah, that was a freaking dime too, by the way.
Oh, of course. And now we'll bring up another. We didn't watch this game, but it was a good game for North Carolina fans. North Carolina beat South Carolina 31-17. Drake May was alright. He did throw 2 interceptions, but British Brooks is looked good. And then Omari Hampton finished the job of 2 touchdowns. The most eye-popping thing here is South Carolina had -2 rushing yards.
Yeah, no, they got beat on the ground. And, I mean, if an SEC school is going to beat basically any other conference, they have to dominate defense and they have to dominate on the ground. And South Carolina failed to do that.
Okay, dominated the trenches, and South Carolina and Florida failed the mission.
Both failed, yes.
Credit to Xavier Legette, though. 9 receptions for 178 yards. One of the bright spots on that South Carolina offense during this game. I mean, I know surely there's South Carolina offense will be better later on in the season. And then we'll bring up the Monday night game. As I predicted last week when we had the bet for the spread of Duke and Clemson. Duke plus 12.5 it was. Duke, a rainy night in Durham. You never know what's going to happen, and Duke won 28-7.
I will admit when I'm wrong. I took Duke for the bet, but I thought Clemson would win but failed to cover the spread, and I was incorrect. So, credit to you.
The only reason I actually picked Duke over is because I thought Riley Leonard, the QB at Duke, would have made a massive difference, and that 44-yard rush he had put them up by, I believe it was 14 at the time. Maybe it was put them up 14-7 or 13-7. I don't remember. But that rush he had, he broke many tackles, just put it right in the end zone. Riley Leonard's definitely a QB to keep an eye on this year.
Oh, I agree. Leonard played like a beast.
And Clemson, on the other end, as you mentioned earlier, you thought it was for LSU or Colorado or whatever.
That was the 2-2.
The 2 block field goals, I believe both of them blocked by the same person, and then 2 fumbles by Klubnik. No, bad handoffs, we should say. Because both of them are awful bad handoffs. So, we seen what TCU did in this national championship last year. It was not good at all. And then their offensive coordinator went to Clemson, and another egg. Only a touchdown on a muff punt inside the 20. They were inside the 20 5 times. They scored once. Credit to Duke's defense, honestly, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to say I'm a Duke fan. I mean, obviously, being from Kentucky. But I will say that I hope Duke is as good as they looked, because otherwise Clemson is...
Just bad.
Yeah, just bad.
We normally bring up our bets and predictions, but just to get better data on the bets and predictions, we're going to skip the review of the bets and predictions from last week, and we'll move on to the statistic of the week. And you already said Shadir Sanders with his 510 yards.
Yep. That is my statistic of the week.
That's what you call a great debut for a new team.
Yeah, no kidding. And on bets, the only thing I want to say is that we were 5-5 for the
We
week.
were 500 on our
Yeah,
bets.
we were
So
500.
we're not going to bring up the specific bets. We want to get more bets in there before we start bringing data into it. So we're just going to skip that. But we did finish 500 for the ones that actually followed our own boss. And now for mine, we just brought up Duke, obviously, beating number 9 Clemson. This was actually Duke's first top 10 win versus and since 1989. That's 34 years ago. That was under Spurrier? I don't know how to say his name. Spurrier. In
The
1989.
great ball coach.
Credit to
No, the old ball coach. That's what
the old ball coach, yeah.
Yeah.
Credit to Mac Elko, the new Duke coach. He's had a great stint in 14 games as a Blue Devils coach. Well, let's get into predictions, shall we?
Let's do it.
We'll start with the game of the week, should we? Hopefully it's a good one. I believe it's number 11 Texas versus number 3 Alabama, I believe it is. It's Texas versus Alabama. I don't know the rankings off the top of my head, but this is a rematch of last year's 2019 game that Alabama won at the end with a field goal.
Barely.
And this time both teams are questionable at times. And it's in Tuscaloosa, which that means Alabama has the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the reason I'm picking Texas here. The only reason, because I believe Texas has the better QB. Quinn Ewers is better than Jalen Milroe. Sorry, Bama fans. I like Bama, but my heart tell me Quinn Ewers is better. Sorry. Until Milroe improves, and this could be the perfect game for him to prove that he's the better QB.
It would be the perfect game, and I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to take Alabama over Texas. I would never, ever predict a game against Bama in Tuscaloosa, no matter who they're playing.
Except LSU.
Well, yeah, except LSU, which I would lose based off of what we saw this week.
Oh, yeah, you would definitely get smacked. We do have some bets coming in later on in the podcast from Alabama and Texas, so keep an eye on that. We got Tulane and Ole Miss. This might be one of those shocker games, you could say.
I think it's going to be a close game, actually.
So, Ole Miss dominated the crap out of Mercer last week, which that was expected. Everyone expected that one.
Should be.
And then Tulane was only a 6-point favorite over South Alabama and won by 20. I'm curious of how their defense is looking after losing so many pieces to the NFL. But I trust them, and I got Tulane.
I'm very curious to see how Tulane's defense holds up against Lane Kiffin's offense. But in this situation, just because I don't know, given what you said, Tulane's lost so many pieces, I'm going to have to go with Ole Miss.
Which, if someone with a brain actually didn't pick Ole Miss here, you'd be crazy. I'm just a psychopath, so. Anyways, we got Notre Dame traveling to NC State for game number 3. Notre Dame dominated their first two opponents. I believe it was Navy and Tennessee State. They were expected to do that. This is the first road test for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we're both on the same page.
We're both going for NC State.
Yeah,
here.
we're both taking NC State. So I don't think that Notre Dame. I have always thought, basically throughout my entire lifetime, that Notre Dame is overrated, and I still think that to today.
To Notre Dame, just fully just join the ACC with football. Your rest of your team, all of your other sports are in ACC. Why don't you just do it too?
Or any conference. Just join a conference.
No, it would make sense for them doing the Big 10 or Big 12 or SEC because it wouldn't work for all the other sports unless they moved all the other sports too.
That is true.
Just join the ACC. Come on, you play an ACC schedule anyways. Anyways, enough of that. Texas A&M at Miami. I don't like the Aggies. Sorry, I'm going Miami.
So I'm quite the opposite. I know Miami had a good outing over Miami, Ohio, and I know I lost that bet last week. But I still believe in the SEC. I still believe they're the best conference. I'm taking A&M.
I mean, I still think they're the best conference. I just think the future is great for the every conference. But anyways, North Carolina and App State. Well, after seeing what North Carolina did to South Carolina, I don't think there's a chance that App State can win. So I'm going UNC.
I agree. The game against South Carolina was just so dominant, and I mean App State. That if they did pull the upset out, that would be the upset of the year.
Unless something else crazy happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just my only questions about North Carolina this year would be the secondary. Because 350 yards to Radley in a fairly dominant game, you got allowed him to have 353 yards, but defense still played good though. Don't get it wrong. Oregon at Texas Tech. Everyone hopped up Texas Tech. They got shut down at Wyoming. Cut the Texas Tech talk, please. Oregon's going to smack them.
I couldn't agree more. Oregon.
I don't know why everyone thought Texas Tech was actually going to be good. I didn't see anything in this team. They had like the fourth best odds to win the Big 12, and then they crap themselves versus Wyoming. I don't understand that.
I have personal reasons to dislike Texas Tech, so go Oregon.
All right. I mean, I like Oregon, so go Oregon. Then we got Auburn traveling to California. I don't really know how this game even happened, but for my trend of going against SEC this week, I'm going California.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns and stick with the SEC. I'm going to take Auburn, but I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in that.
I mean, I'm an SEC homer, and I've picked against SEC 4 times. That's crazy. Anyways, and then we end off with the whole Iowa rivalry, Iowa versus Iowa State. Iowa State, I really haven't watched Iowa or Iowa State in years. I know as a Kentucky fan, we got smoked by you guys in the bowl game, but we didn't have Levis. So, for that being said, I'm picking Iowa.
I'm with you. I don't really know a whole lot about either team. The logical decision based off the statistics is to pick Iowa. So I'm going with Iowa.
I mean, we won't watch the game, but we'll definitely keep an eye on this game. And then our wild card predictions for the week. I love these two guys. You gotta keep an eye on these games. I think Washington State upsets. I don't know what their ranking is this week, but Wisconsin. Cameron Ward's a great QB. I think he's better than Tanner Mordecai. And Washington State wins the battle in Pullum. And then I got UConn beats Georgia State. Georgia State struggled hard with Rhode Island last week. So I just think UConn could easily pull out this win. They're not bets, though. They're just predictions. Just wild card predictions. So we don't have that much confidence, but we do have some confidence. A little bit of confidence.
Yeah, to reiterate what Brent said, these are out of left field predictions. These are definitely not bets. I would not recommend putting money on anything we're saying as far as wild cards.
Except maybe your second one.
So I'm going to take Tulsa over Washington. That's kind of more of a personal bet. I know somebody, and actually was my boss, that went to Tulsa. So I'm going to root for them. Now, whether or not they pull it out,
probably not, but we seen what Washington did to Boise State last week, so
I highly doubt it, but
never know. It's college football.
Yep, any given Saturday. And then my second wild card, which I think is actually possible, San Diego State over UCLA. I stand by the fact that UCLA is overrated. San Diego State is consistently underrated. I think that is a game that San Diego State could win.
So our most confident wild card prediction mine would be Washington State upsetting Wisconsin. Yours would be San Diego State beating UCLA.
Correct.
Take all those predictions how you will. We don't hate many teams, but there's a few teams that we do not like. And sorry, Notre Dame fans. Anyways, time for the bets. Who's ready to make some money?
Now we make some money.
We'll start with Utah goes to Baylor this week. I'm a Baylor fan, but I don't really have much faith in Baylor after that disappointing fest versus Texas State last week. So I'm going Utah -7. It's on telling what the spread will be at this point. Got what it done a few days ago. And then Colorado plays Nebraska. I don't know how the spread was only -3.5, but I'm taking it easily, and I think you'll have some good luck there. Then I got SMU +16.5 versus Oklahoma. This is the throw in outfield here. I don't know how this one would go because Oklahoma did smack the crap out of Arkansas State last week, 73-0. So take it how you will. If you're not going to bet on one of my predictions, it's probably a SMU +16.5, but I do like it. Then Cincinnati +8 at Pitt. I've seen what Cincinnati did to Eastern. They've never done that to Eastern before. They won by 51-53. Emory Jones had 7 touchdowns. And when was the last time we seen Emory Jones have 7 touchdowns in the game?
Never.
And maybe never. Unless it was at FCS school and he was at Florida. Or
yeah.
Other than that, Emory Jones had a confident start. And then Cincinnati +8 was that one. And then my final one is Washington State / Wisconsin. The same one I talked about in my wildcard predictions. I have the over of 54.5. I think both teams can put up points with their QBs. So I think this will be an easy over 54.5. Who you got?
All right, cool. So for this week, I took a bunch of over-unders, but my first bet, I took Alabama giving up 7. I think that's a pretty easy bet for me with them being in Tuscaloosa. For my second bet, I took Ball State and Georgia. Their over-under is 53. I took the over. After watching Ball State play Kentucky last week and knowing what Georgia is also capable of, I think that over is easily achievable. App State UNC, their over-under is 61. I took the under. Just knowing that what UNC did to South Carolina as far as holding them to 17 points, I think they hold App State to even less. However, App State has traditionally had a pretty decent defense, so I think that under is very realistic. My next one is Stanford USC. Their over-under is 71. I'm also going with the under on that game. Again, I don't see this being that high scoring of a game. I think USC is overrated. Stanford obviously has had their problems. I think they come in under 71. And finally, for the Texas-Bama game, their over-under is 56.5. I took the over. I foresee both Texas and Bama putting a bunch of points on the board. I actually think this game is going to be a shootout, so I went with the over.
My favorite ones there is App State and UNC. I think
it's a solid
I just think both teams right there. I think Drake May is the best QB in this game, as this last week proved. But the defenses are going to be crucial in this game, so I actually agree with the under there.
Nice.
And then, who's ready for another fun week of college football?
We are.
Go Cats. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Mostly.
I'm still pissed, but go Tigers.
Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And we hope you have another great college football Saturday, and we are out. Peace.